If I hand you a single tooth the size of your palm, can you picture the hunter it came from? That tooth once sat in a jaw that could bite with a force modeled at roughly 100,000 to 180,000 newtons. That's about 22,000 to 40,000 pounds of force. It belonged to Otodus Megalodon, the largest predatory shark we know from the fossil record. It swam in warm and temperate seas from about 23 to 3.6 million years ago. It hunted whales, left marks on bones that we can still see, and then, suddenly, on a geologic clock, it was gone. Stay with me. In this episode, we'll build this giant from the evidence. We'll look at how it grew so big, how it hunted, where it raised its young, and why it vanished. Along the way, we'll test the myths and stick to what the science actually shows. Quick question to kick us off. How long do you think a Megalodon newborn was? Half a meter, 1 meter, or 2 meters? Drop your guess in the comments. We'll get to the answer soon. Let's start with the hard truth. We don't have complete Megalodon skeletons. Sharks have skeletons made mostly of cartilage. Cartilage does not fossilize well. What we do have are thousands of teeth and some calcified vertebral centra, the dense cores of the backbone. That might sound limiting, but teeth are gold for science. Teeth tell us size, diet, growth, habitat, and even temperature preferences. Megalodon teeth are broad, triangular, and serrated. Some reach about 18 centimeters tall when measured along the slanted edge. The roots are thick and sturdy. The serrations are fine and even, made for cutting flesh. We find these teeth on ancient seafloors and coastal deposits across the world. That global spread tells us Megalodon was a cosmopolitan shark, living in warm to temperate waters in many regions. We also have vertebral centra with growth bands. Much like tree rings, these bands likely mark yearly growth. They show that Megalodon grew for many years, reaching large sizes over decades. Each piece, teeth, vertebrae, the rocks they are buried in, adds a line to the story. Size is the question everyone asks. The best supported estimates put adult Megalodon at around 15 to 18 meters long. That's roughly 50 to 60 feet. Some individuals may have been a bit shorter, and very large ones may have been longer, but 15 to 18 meters is the grounded range backed by the best methods. How do we know? Scientists use relationships between tooth size and body length in living sharks, then apply those relationships to Megalodon teeth. One widely used approach scales body length from crown height in lamniform sharks, the group that includes great whites and makos. There is uncertainty because we're comparing an extinct shark to living species with different shapes, but multiple methods converge on a similar range. What about body mass? We cannot weigh a fossil shark, but we can estimate. Different models suggest a very wide range, but a large adult likely weighed on the order of tens of tons. Roughly 30 to 50 metric tons is a reasonable bracket, with very large individuals possibly more. That is similar in mass to a medium to large humpback whale, though shorter in length. Bite force is another headline number. Computer models of the jaws estimate bite forces around 100,000 to 180,000 newtons, about 22,000 to 40,000 pounds of force. The exact number depends on how the jaw is reconstructed and scaled. The key point is simple. It bit far harder than any living shark today. Engagement cue. On screen, place a scale lineup. Human, great white, about 4 to 6 meters. Orca, about 6 to 8 meters. Megalodon, 15 to 18 meters. Ask viewers, which gap looks the biggest to you? Human to great white, or great white to Megalodon? Megalodon belongs to a family called Otodontid. Many researchers use the name Otodus Megalodon, and you will also see the older name Carcharocles Megalodon in books and museum labels. Either way, we are talking about the same shark. The Otodontid lineage stretches back into the Paleogene. Forms like Otodus obliquus and later Otodus chubbinesses show a trend toward larger size and serrated teeth. By the early Miocene, about 23 million years ago, Megalodon appears in the fossil record. It spread widely and persisted until the Pliocene, going extinct by about 3.6 million years ago. This was a period of change. The Miocene had warm seas and rich coastal habitats. Many types of small to medium baleen whales, the early relatives of modern filter feeders, swam these waters. That prey base likely helped fuel Megalodon's rise to giant size. Fossils show Megalodon had a global range. We find teeth on every continent except Antarctica, in deposits that formed in warm and temperate seas. Most sites are ancient continental shelves, broad, shallow margins of continents. That tells us Megalodon spent a lot of time near coasts and on shelves where prey was abundant, but it could also swim offshore. One of the most important clues is the discovery of nursery areas. In several regions, including parts of the Americas and the Mediterranean basins, we find a high number of small Megalodon teeth mixed with only a few large ones. That pattern suggests that young sharks used warm, shallow waters as nurseries, places with calm conditions and plenty of smaller prey. Nursery grounds are common in living sharks too. They reduce the risk of being eaten and give young sharks a better start. Let's build the animal from its parts. Start with the teeth. The serrated edges are like steak knives. The triangular shape is good for slicing through muscle and blubber. Many Megalodon teeth have broken tips and repairs in the enamel. Signs of hard use, perhaps from biting into bones or thick connective tissue. Now the jaws. We do not have a full Megalodon skull, but the pattern of teeth and the size of the roots suggest a very broad jaw. Computer models indicate that when those jaws closed, the bite force was enormous. More important than the single number is what that force means. Megalodon could cut into large prey and remove big chunks quickly. The body shape was likely robust. Reconstructions based on relatives suggest a deep body with large pectoral fins for lift and control, and a strong tail for cruising and bursts of speed. It was not a sprinter like a short-fin mako, but it was built to cover distance and to make powerful strikes. What about body temperature? Many living lamniform sharks, like great whites and makos, are regionally endothermic. They keep some parts of the body warmer than the surrounding water, using special blood vessel networks. Isotopic signals in Megalodon teeth and comparisons with living relatives suggest Megalodon likely had some level of regional endothermy too. That would support a high cruising speed and active hunting in cooler waters. Sensory systems would have been excellent, as in living sharks. It likely used smell to detect prey over long distances, vision for close approach, and electroreception to sense the weak electric fields of living animals at very short range. Combine those senses with a large brain for a shark, and you get an efficient hunter, even if we cannot measure its exact intelligence. Evidence from bones and teeth tells us Megalodon's menu. Many fossil whale bones, ribs, vertebrae, and flipper elements carry bite marks that match the size and spacing of Megalodon teeth. Some bones show healing, which means the prey survived an attack and lived long enough to heal before it died later. Others do not. We also find Megalodon teeth in layers with the remains of large fish and other sharks. The diet was broad, but focused on marine mammals when they were available. How did it hunt? One pattern shows repeated bites to the chest and fin areas of whales. Striking these areas could disable a prey animal by damaging the lungs or cutting the flippers. A second pattern is taking large chunks of muscle and blubber. Blubber is high-energy fuel, important for a giant shark with big energy needs. Imagine a hunt. In warm, shallow water near a shelf edge, a small baleen whale travels with its calf. The adult is perhaps 7 meters long. Megalodon approaches from below and behind, where it is harder to see. It strikes the flipper first to limit the whale's movement. A follow-up bite to the chest tears blubber and muscle. The whale bleeds and tires. This is not a sprint. It is a sequence of decisive hits by a powerful hunter that can outlast its prey. Could Megalodon tackle very large adult whales? It depended on size and circumstance. In the Miocene and Pliocene, many baleen whales were smaller than today's giants, and those mid-sized whales likely made up a large part of Megalodon's diet. Very large adult whales would be more difficult and risky targets, but juveniles and subadults were within range. We infer Megalodon's life history from its family ties and from growth rings in vertebrae. Like many lamniform sharks, Megalodon was almost certainly viviparous. It gave birth to live young. In living lamniform, embryos feed on unfertilized eggs in the womb. This is called oophagy. It results in fewer but larger pups at birth. How large were Megalodon newborns? A recent analysis of vertebral growth bands suggests pups were on the order of about 2 meters long at birth, already the size of a human adult. That fits well with the idea of nursery grounds in warm, shallow seas. Large pups had a better chance of avoiding predators and catching small prey. How fast did Megalodon grow? The growth bands in vertebrae point to steady, long-term growth over decades. That kind of life history, few large pups, slow growth, long lifespan, works well for apex predators in stable ecosystems. But it also makes them vulnerable to big environmental changes. If prey becomes scarce or habitats shrink, large, slow-reproducing animals struggle to recover. As an apex predator, Megalodon helped structure marine communities. By preying on marine mammals and large fish, it influenced which species thrived and where they moved. Its presence likely shaped migration routes of whales and the behavior of smaller predators and scavengers. There were other large predators in the Miocene too. Some toothed whales with big teeth, and later, early members of the dolphin group that includes killer whales, hunted in the same seas. The exact overlap in time and place varied by region. Rather than a single king, think of a set of large hunters sharing and dividing a rich ocean. Megalodon held one of the top spots in that set for millions of years. The strongest evidence points to a mix of climate and ecosystem change through the late Miocene into the Pliocene, with extinction by about 3.6 million years ago. First, the climate cooled. Global cooling reduced warm surface waters and shifted ocean temperature bands toward the equator. Sea level fell relative to Miocene highs, shrinking shallow shelf habitats where Megalodon fed and where young sharks likely grew. Second, prey changed. The Miocene had many small to medium baleen whales. Through the Pliocene, the makeup of whale communities shifted. Some groups declined, others adapted to new, colder oceans. The closure of the Central American Seaway, the marine connection between the Pacific and the Atlantic, progressed, and by around 3 million years ago, the Isthmus of Panama had fully formed. Even before full closure, changes in currents and productivity patterns were underway. Those changes affected where prey lived and how abundant it was. Third, there was pressure from other predators in some regions. Large, social-toothed whales, ancestors of modern killer whales, and the modern great white shark appear in the record and diversify during this time. It is reasonable to think they competed with Megalodon for some prey, especially as prey distributions changed. Competition alone does not explain a global extinction, but it could add stress to an already vulnerable species. Finally, life history matters. Megalodon was big, slow to mature, and produced relatively few large young. When environments change quickly, species with that strategy have a harder time keeping up. The best supported view is that a combination of cooling, habitat loss, prey turnover, and possibly regional competition pushed Megalodon past a tipping point. By about 3.6 million years ago, it disappears from the fossil record. Is Megalodon still alive? Number: there is no scientific evidence of living megalodons, no verified sightings, no fresh teeth, no modern bite marks that match a 15 to 18 meter shark, and no genetic traces from modern surveys. The fossil record and dating methods point to extinction by approximately 3.6 million years ago. Was it the ancestor of the great white shark? Number great whites belong to a different family, Lamnidae, and likely evolved from mako-like ancestors. Megalodon belongs to Otodontid. They look alike because they faced similar challenges and evolved similar tooth shapes. This is convergent evolution, not direct ancestry. Did Megalodon reach 100 feet? There is no solid evidence for that. Well-supported estimates place adults around 15 to 18 meters, 50 to 60 feet. Very large individuals may have pushed a bit beyond that, but 100 feet is not supported by current methods. Did it live in the deep abyss? Fossil sites cluster in ancient continental shelves and coastal environments. It could swim offshore, but nurseries and much feeding likely happened on or near the shelves. Do white fossil teeth mean they are modern? Number tooth color reflects the minerals in the sediment. Tannin-rich rivers can turn teeth dark. Phosphate-rich sediments can keep them light. Are museum jaws always accurate? Many life-size jaws on display are reconstructions using mixed teeth from different individuals. They can be great for scale, but the exact tooth count and spacing are models, not original skulls. Megalodon's story starts with tongue stones, large fossil shark teeth that people collected for centuries. In the 1600s, the scientist Nicholas Steno showed that these stones were once living shark teeth, helping establish the idea of fossils as remains of real organisms. Today, we use tooth chemistry to estimate water temperatures, tooth wear to infer feeding, and vertebral growth rings to read life history. We also learn how apex predators depend on stable habitats and steady prey. When seas cool, currents shift, and coastlines change, even a giant can lose its grip. That lesson matters now, as modern oceans warm and food webs shift again. Megalodon is gone, but its living relatives, sharks of all sizes, face pressures from overfishing and habitat loss. Their future depends on what we do. Megalodon newborns were probably about 2 meters long, already a serious shark at birth. If you enjoy evidence-based stories of extinct animals, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. In the comments, weigh in on the big question. Which factor do you think mattered most in Megalodon's extinction? Cooling seas, changing prey, or regional competition? Add a sentence with your reasoning. I'll pin the best evidence-backed reply and include sources in the description. Want more? Tap the playlist on prehistoric oceans next. And if you ever search for fossils, do it legally and ethically. Many great sites are protected and permits matter. Thanks for watching and keep your curiosity sharp. The ocean's past still has many secrets to share.